Hello, friends. It's good to be with you again. As I mentioned in the last episode, I wanted to talk a little bit again in this episode about one of my favorite stories from the Bible. That's the story of Moses. Particularly the story of Moses is recounted in the book of Exodus. Last episode, we talked about Moses' birth as a prince of Egypt, how he had gone to Midian, had a comfortable life, how God calls him at the burning bush to go back to Egypt to free God's people, the Hebrew people, and how Moses had some questions about this errand that God had for him. The story I want to say a little bit about today is a little bit of the bookend to that story. It's on the other side of the invitation for Moses to go back to Egypt. At this point, Moses has now gone to Egypt. He's confronted Pharaoh. With God's help, these 10 plagues, which are designed to convince Pharaoh of God's power and might, have happened. And now Moses is, in fact, bringing the people, the Hebrew people, out of slavery to begin their journey to the Promised Land. If you remember the story, though, when they leave Egypt, they come up against the Red Sea. And at that point, Pharaoh, who has been hard to convince to let these people go throughout the 10 plagues, changes his mind. And he sends the Egyptian armies, again, the most powerful empire on the earth, he sends the Egyptian armies, the chariots, out against the Hebrew people to kill them all. And at this point, and this is recounted in Exodus chapter 14, and I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, and this includes some rabbinic sort of midrash or commentary on what happens here. At this point, again, Moses has left a comfortable life. He's followed God. He's accomplished what God asked him to do, and now they're about to leave Egypt, but they're trapped. They're trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian armies. And at that moment, Moses says to God, "Okay, God, you brought us this far. Now find a way for us to be freed finally." And there's no response. Again, this is some of the rabbinic commentary that comes on these verses. And Moses says again, "God, seriously, you've asked me to do all of this work for these people you love, and you're going to let us all die?" Nothing. And Moses asks a third time, "God, where are you? We need your help. Don't let us be slaughtered." Nothing. And it's only at that point, by tradition, that Moses finally says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And he steps into the Red Sea with his staff. And it's at that point, after he has taken the first step of faith, after he has taken a risk by walking into the Red Sea, that God finally parts the waters and lets the Hebrew people walk through to freedom. The learning for us is, and this comes up in so many ways in the life of faith, is that maybe we can't always wait for God to open the door, to show us the next step. Maybe sometime God asks us to take that first step of faith, and God will meet us after we have taken some kind of risk ourselves. I'm not sure what that may mean for you in your life at this point. For me in my own life, that's been an incredibly important story, an incredibly important reminder. And as a congregation, I guess as I look to the future, again, it's a future I think that is filled with hope, despite everything that's going on in the world today. And so I pray that as a congregation, that we can continue to step out in faith, trusting that God will, in fact, meet us. Thanks as always for listening. As always, stay in touch, be well, and God bless.